All right, we're ready to begin and we're gonna start laying down. I think it's so wonderful to start laying down because normally, if you're like normal, the average person, you don't usually lay down in the middle of the day. I guess here in the United States, anyway, there's some countries that'll take a little siesta or a little break or a little nap even throughout the day. So we're kind of creating a space for shifting gears from whatever you were up to so far today to this space and time of practicing awareness, practicing mindfulness through the means of yoga. So go ahead and get comfortable laying down if that feels right. Maybe Shavasana with your arms and legs extended. Always the option to bend your knees and let your knees rest together at the center. Just letting your body find its way to whatever shape you'd like. And when you arrive, maybe closing your eyes or just kind of shifting your gaze somewhere, softening your gaze. And let your shoulders be extra heavy, grounding down into your mat. Letting your body find a little bit of rest and relaxation here as we start. Just a few moments here of stillness can really help to showcase what's going on with your body or your emotions. So just noticing what's happening for you. First, noticing your body, anything physical that catches your attention. And at some point, noticing anything emotionally or energetic going on with you in this moment. And if there are any other ways you like to check in with yourself, go ahead, just continue checking in and noticing. And becoming even more aware of your breath here. Just see how it's flowing and moving. And if you want, you might start to deepen or slow your breath, letting the air draw down to the lowest parts of your lungs, diaphragmatic breathing. Your belly might expand and rise with your inhales, expanding kind of in all directions, and slowly letting that exhale spill right back out. You might do a little editing, deepening your breath, but just see if it can feel as natural as possible. I'm not forcing anything, trying not to judge it. Just watching as the breath takes shape. And while we're here, if you'd like to think about or choose an intention or dedication for this practice, you're welcome to call something to mind right now. And we'll do a little bit of breath work here, a little farther with the breath work. We're just going to do kind of a simplified Brahmari or bumblebee breath. So instead of getting too fancy, we're just going to fully inhale and just hum any old note on the exhale. So your exhale is just full of humming. And just go ahead and do that at your own pace, maybe 3 rounds or so. Go ahead and start when you're ready. You're just inhaling through your nose, humming any old note. Smoothing out your face, letting your eyes and your forehead soften and relax. Keep humming it out. Just go ahead and do 3 rounds or so. Inhaling and then humming for the exhale. And you might hum the same note. Maybe you hum a different note, or maybe you even kind of start a little higher and get a little lower. You get to be creative if you want. Imagine you might have about 1 more round or so left. Whenever it feels right, just releasing that humming and kind of bathing in the reverberations, if you will. Noticing any effects that humming may have had. And when you're ready, let's start to wiggle fingers and toes. Maybe blinking your eyes open at some point. And we'll head into a long body stretch. So straightening out those legs and arms if they aren't there yet, reaching in opposite directions. And then let's take a little time to rotate out the wrists and the ankles. You could lift your arms up or keep them closer to the floor, just rotating a little bit both directions through the ankles and the wrists. I have been mentioning all the time lately, motion is lotion. I just think it's so fun to remember something that rhymes, so bringing some motion to the joints helps them to stay a little healthier. And making sure you wiggle your toes a little bit, wiggle your fingers a little bit. Good, good, good. We're gonna bend into the knees, standing your feet up on the floor here. Let's go through breathing bridge a couple times, and let's do our robot arm variation. So we're bending the elbows so our hands are up in the air, as if you were doing that little robot dance. And we're pressing the backs of the arms down into the mat. Tuck your shoulder blades in. Pick up all your toes, spread them out, and set them right back down. With your inhale, start to pick up the pelvis, reaching those hip points up toward the sky. And with your exhale, lowering down with control. And if your knees felt any discomfort, maybe taking a little step toward the top of the mat or out toward the edges of your mat. With your inhales, we're lifting up. Little squeeze of the glutes and the thighs. And we're exhaling to lower. Let's do that maybe 2 more times. Inhaling to lift. Exhaling to lower. Just 1 more. Inhaling to lift. If you want, stay lifted here for your exhale. Inhale with the option to lift the heels, coming up to those tippy toes, pressing down a little more. And then with your next exhale, lowering your heels and lowering your pelvis back down to the floor. Good, good. Let's hug the knees into the chest and just take a little bit of free movement here, rocking a little bit side to side and or circling your knees. Maybe at the same time, or maybe they're kind of individually moving in circles. And then you want more of a restful practice today, maybe you just stay and spend a little extra time right here. If you want to join me in a little bit of core activation, we'll do our dead bug. I don't like that name. We can call it supine bird dog. How about we do that? So your knees can be bent or your legs can be somewhat straight. You can always alternate between the two. Lift your hands straight up to the sky here as well. Notice how much engagement you're needing through your core already. With your inhale, let's start to lower opposite limb. So the right arm lowers or lifts above your head as the left leg lowers. And then exhale to bring them back up to the center. And switching, we're inhaling to lower, left arm, right leg. And exhaling to lift. And again, you can always bend your knees if you want. Inhaling to lower, we're switching sides every time. Exhale to lift. Inhale, lower. Exhale, lift. One more time on both sides if you have it in you today. Really leaning into the breath here. Inhale to lower. Exhale to lift. When you're ready, just hug those knees in one more time. And then let your feet come down to the floor. Let's roll onto either side, coming to the fetal position just for a second, and then come up to a comfortable seat. Let's tent the fingertips up on the floor on either side and just feel what it's like to be sitting here, lengthening upwards through the crown of your head. Maybe closing your eyes if you like. Maybe you can kind of wrap the shoulders up and around, so you're kind of reaching the shoulder blades back a little bit, opening up through the front of the body. With an inhale, we'll spin the palms up toward the sky and reach the hands high, joining palms overhead. And exhale, lower your hands to heart center with a little tuck of your chin. Inhale, reach your hands high. And exhale, lower your arms down and around. Let's do that again. Inhale, reaching around and up. Exhale, hands come down to heart center. We're going to switch it up a little bit here. Let's inhale and reach high. Just breathe like normal here. Let's interlace the fingers and then flip the palms up toward the ceiling and then extend upwards. Just take a little bit of swaying motion, a little bit of a side bend side to side. Taking it easy. You might kind of go in a little bit of a circling pattern if that feels good. Just kind of freestyling here as we reach upwards. Little side bend each way at some point. And then coming back up to center, and with an exhale, let's lower the hands back down. All right, let's move along to hands and knees, cat and cow, sweeping those legs around and back. Let's bring the hands right below the shoulders and the knees right below the hips. With your inhale, start to lower your belly, lift your gaze and your tailbone, cow pose. And exhale to round up through the spine, tucking your chin, tucking your tailbone. Go ahead and continue like that, inhaling to cow pose, lifting up, belly lowering. And exhaling, cat. And at some point here, let's take 3 clearing breaths as we move through cat and cow. So we're inhaling through the nose as we find cow, gaze lifting. Open mouth exhale with a sigh as you arch your back up into cat. I want to call this wild cat. Inhaling to cow. Exhale, wild cat, sighing out of the mouth. One more time. Go ahead, inhale, cow. Sigh. Wildcat. Coming back to neutral. And then finding your way to extended child's pose, bringing your knees out wide and your big toes touching. You could sink your seat toward your heels a little bit, or keep your seat lifted if it feels better on your lower half of your body, and maybe just come down to your forearms, or walk your hands out toward the top of the mat and then lower. It's actually called puppy dog pose when you keep your seat kind of up. But you choose your own adventure. Maybe you do sink your seat all the way back toward your heels. Reaching through the fingertips, creating lots of length through the back. Let's find those belly breaths again. Inhaling, letting the belly expand in all directions. And softening, becoming more present. One more breath right here. And then rising on up back to tabletop, hands and knees. Let's find our way to our first downward facing dog, grabbing those blocks if you have them. If it ever feels like too much to be upside down, you can always have your hands like on the wall or up on a couch. The higher you can lift them up off of the ground, the less upside down you'll be. Wherever you're at, we're gonna curl the toes under and start to lift up the knees, reaching the tailbone high. Press into your hands, especially between the thumb and pointer finger. Reach through your shoulders and find your breath. You might bend and straighten opposite knees a couple times if you like. Two more breaths. One more breath. And then bending your knees, look up to your hands. Step or walk your way up to the top of your mat for ragdoll forward fold. Having at least a slight bend of your knees, or a nice deep bend of your knees. Your hands may be coming to blocks if you want to stay a little more lifted, or releasing the upper body toward the floor. Perhaps grabbing opposite elbows here, or just letting your arms kind of sway. For more support, again, maybe the hands could be on blocks or on your thighs. See if you can really sense into the back of your legs. The back. Your back. And see if you can just create a little more length somewhere. Maybe a little bit of stretch through the back of the hamstrings. If you're grabbing opposite elbows, go ahead and switch your grip, bringing your other forearm on top. Maybe nod your head yes and no a couple of times, loosening up your neck. And then bending a little deeper into your knees. Just kind of pause there for a second. See how a deep bend of the knees can really stretch out that low back. And then when you're ready, walk your hands up your legs as you slowly rise up to stand. Taking your time. And we've always got to do a little shakeout when we get to the top. So just finding a little bit of a bounce through your body, maybe lifting and lowering your heels, maybe lifting and lowering your shoulders. You can make it into more of a dance. Just getting a nice amount of movement going however you can through your body. You could circle your arms a little bit. You can even take a little hop or two, or a little twist. Just getting that circulation going. We're getting a little pumped up now that we're standing. All right. Okay, whenever you've had enough of that, we're finding our way back up to the top. Take a look at your feet. Make sure they're a comfortable distance from each other, maybe about hip width distance or a little closer. You can even have big toes touching if you want. With an inhale, let's reach the arms around and up, looking up toward your palms as they join. And exhale, swan dive, forward fold. We're hinging at the hips and then releasing the hands down toward the floor. Inhale, halfway lift, straightening the back. And exhale, lower your hands down to the blocks or the floor. We're going to step just the right foot back. And then lower that right knee down to the mat. Your choice if you keep the right toes tucked under or flatten the top of your foot to the mat. With an inhale, let's reach the arms around and up. Breathe like normal here and just kind of notice what's going on with your back. Sometimes we kind of like dump forward through the pelvis. Let's see if we can kind of tuck the tailbone under and kind of like engage through the core a little bit more and the right glute. You might feel a lot more stretch or opening through that right hip flexor or right thigh. That's good. We are in place. So the arms are lifted up when you're ready. With your exhale, let's open arm twist toward the left. A nice active twist here. Let's just stay in our twist for a couple of breaths. Inhaling and exhaling at your own pace. With your next inhale, let's unwind, reaching both hands high once again. And then exhale to open arm twist in the other direction. See what that's like. Press a little bit into that left pinky toe and breathe here. Ooh, that feels really nice on like the left groin kind of area for me today. When you're ready, take an inhale, come back to center. And then exhale, lower your hands down to your blocks. If you have them, let's sink the hips forward and down, getting a little more stretch through that right hip. Nice little hip opener. If you don't have blocks, you might choose to interlace your fingers and push onto the top of your left thigh or knee, just so we get a little bit more of a neutral spine going. Find your edge here, and you might kind of pulse coming into that sweet spot or your kind of edge position. And you might come out of it a little bit, just kind of working it, seeing what feels good to you. And then we'll shift back into our half splits, pulling the hips back. We're keeping the hips lifted over that right knee. Peel your left toes up off of the floor and just straighten your left knee enough until you feel some stretch and opening through the back of your left leg. Your knee might be very bent here if you have kind of tighter legs. That's just fine. We want to create kind of like a hinging forward effect here. So if you're rounding forward, I invite you to consider kind of puffing your chest up and like bringing your shoulder blades a little bit more together behind you. So we create a little bit more of a neutral spine. Same thing here if you want to kind of bend into that left knee a little bit more and then straighten, finding that sweet spot today can be nice. All right, let's bring that left foot back down to the floor. If you have your blocks still, let's put them down so we're in a good position to find our way back to high plank. So we're curling that right toes rather. Pick up your right knee and see about stepping that left foot back to your high plank. Shoulders over wrists. We're really reaching through the shoulders again. So your shoulder blades are far apart from each other. One more breath in. And then exhale, lower your knees. Move those blocks to the side. And then lower your chest. So good to do our baby cobra. Really good to strengthen the backside of our body. So we're untucking the toes, pressing the tops of the feet down so much those knees start popping up off of the ground. With your inhale, rising up to baby cobra, strengthening your back and core muscles. And then exhale, slowly lowering back down. Still kind of engaged until you get to the bottom. Inhale, rising up, baby cobra. We're spending that whole inhale as we lift, and that whole exhale as we slowly lower back down. Present all along the way. One more time. Inhale, rise up, baby cobra. Stay here for your exhale. One last breath in. And exhale, lower down. Take a breath of pause. Inhale. Sigh it out if you want. Inhale, pressing up to tabletop. Exhale to child's pose. 2 more breaths right here. Inhaling and exhaling. Letting that breath really get you a little stretch action through your back and through those muscles between your rib cage. Waiting for that next inhale to rise back up to tabletop, hands and knees. Grabbing your blocks if you want, and then curling your toes under and finding your way to downward dog. 3 breaths. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, softening the face. Exhale, softening the mind. One more breath in. One more breath out. Inhale, bend your knees and look up to your hands, but with your exhale, walk your hands to the back of the mat to end up in a little forward fold at the back. If you want, you maybe come down to a little squat for a second and then straighten your legs. You could do this a couple times. It's kind of called frog pose. So your heels are kind of popping up a little bit, not your normal yogi squat, but it can feel kind of nice to bend and straighten the knees a couple times, going through that little frog action. And then finding forward folds in a moment or two. Take your time. You can always kind of catch up a little bit if you want more time. There. Inhale, halfway lift. Length from the top of your head to your tailbone. Exhale, bending your knees a little bit, forward fold. Inhale, reverse swan dive. So the arms reach out wide, and then we hinge upwards, joining hands overhead. Exhale, hands come down to heart center. I feel like it's always such a huge relief to come back to heart center. Feels like such a fun, peaceful gift to give yourself, bringing your thumbs to the center of your chest, checking in with this literal and non-literal heart center. So maybe feeling the beat of your actual heart here. And also that kind of timeless center of pure awareness. Just below the surface in any circumstance, there's this kind of cave of the heart that never changes. Just practicing that awareness here for a couple moments. And then taking a clearing breath, inhale through your nose, sigh it out. Blinking your eyes open. Let's lower the hands down by our sides. Bring your feet to about hip width distance apart. We'll do our little balancing series here. So if you need a wall or you want a wall or a chair to hold on to, maybe arranging or shifting over to your balancing space. Let's shift the weight over to the right leg here first. Your hands could be out by your side or up by your heart or wherever you'd like. Let's find one-legged mountain pose with that right knee lifting. Toes can stay on the floor for a moment or two as you get your balance, or the whole time. If you're feeling steady there and you want more of a challenge, you could flex that right ankle and then lift your left ankle and then bring your left knee to about hip height. Let's just take one more breath like this. With your exhale, straighten that left leg, keeping it up off of the ground for more of a challenge. Inhale, one-legged mountain pose. And then exhale to airplane pose. We're pressing that left heel back. Arms start to reach back. Shoulder blades start to reach together. Your toes could come to the floor for more support, or kind of leaning forward as you lift the left foot behind you. Breathing. At some point here, take an inhale and lift that left knee up to one-legged mountain. And then exhale as you step that left foot down to the floor, shifting all your weight to your left foot. Drag your right toes to the top so you end up in your one-legged mountain pose with the right knee lifting a little bit here. Breathing. One-legged mountain pose, hugging those lower abs in so you can stay a little more stable. Take an inhale. Exhale, straighten that right leg. Inhale, one-legged mountain. And then exhale to airplane pose. We're pressing that right heel back, straightening that leg, either bringing your toes to the floor or lifting. Hug your shoulder blades together behind you as you reach back. Maybe you lean forward a bit more if you want. Your choice. At some point soon, take an inhale to come back up, pulling that right knee up with you to one-legged mountain. And then exhale, step your right foot in front of you. Take as many more little steps as you need to get to the top of your mat. Almost like you're massaging the bottom of your feet with each step. Once you get to the top, finding that nice foot position you prefer with your feet about hip-width distance apart or so. We're going to go a little bit faster through this second side now. With your inhale, reach your arms around and up, joining palms overhead. Exhale, swan dive, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, bringing your hands to your blocks if you have them. This time we're stepping just the left foot back and lowering your left knee down. With an inhale, reach the arms around and up. Tuck the tailbone under, squeeze that left glute and that left thigh so you find a little opening through your left hip. With your next exhale, open arm twist toward the right. Staying here for a breath or two. When you're ready, inhale, come back to the center, unwind with both arms high. And exhale, open arm twist to the left. One more breath in. One more breath out. Inhale, unwind, hands reach high. And exhale, lower your hands to your blocks or to your knee or thigh if you don't have the blocks. Shifting your hips forward and down, finding that little hip opener here in a nice deep lunge. You can do that kind of pulsing movement or just kind of stay put. And shifting back to our half splits, peeling that right foot to the right toes up off of the floor, and just straightening the right knee enough so you feel something happening there through the back of the right leg. I kind of like to bend and straighten that right knee a little bit, finding that stretch and kind of releasing it. And then plant that right foot back down on the floor. If you want a little bit easier of a time doing the step back on this side, let's toe heel that right foot way out wide. Bring your hands to the floor or blocks. Curl your left toe under, left toes under. Pick up your left knee and then step your right foot back to your high plank. With your next exhale, let's lower the knees and lower the chest. This time we'll just do one baby cobra. So we're pressing the tops of the feet down. With your inhale, we rise up. We're going to stay lifted for 3 breaths. And we're exhaling. Inhale. Exhale. One last breath in. And breath out, lower down, softening for just one breath of rest here. Unless you want more, you can always stay longer. Inhaling, side out. So relieving. Inhale, find your way back up to tabletop. And exhale to child's pose. 2 breaths. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. And exhale. With your inhale, rising back up to tabletop, curling your toes under. And then exhale to downward dog. Last one of this class. Inhale when you get there. Exhale, feeling all of your fingerprints pressing down. Inhale. Exhale. One more breath in. One more breath out. Inhale, bend your knees a lot. With your exhale, walk your hands back. Maybe you come to that little frog pose first, a little squat. We're going to take just a moment. If you want to find this little frog squat, you can straighten your legs and then re-bend into your knees a couple of times if that feels okay for your knees. You can always do kind of like a mini version up top, just kind of bending and then straightening your legs. And then transitioning to your forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, sweep the arms around and up, joining palms overhead. And exhale, right back to heart center. You know what to do here. Checking in, tapping in to your heart center. And then taking a clearing breath in through your nose. And a sigh to release. Opening your eyes if they were closed. Do whatever you will with your hands, maybe bringing them down by your sides. We'll do that same little balancing series here. So we'll just do one on each side again. So bringing your feet to a comfortable distance. This time we're going to shift all the weight to the left leg first. Finding your one-legged mountain pose with the right knee lifting any amount. Finding your way there. One more inhale. Exhale, straighten that right leg. Inhale, lift the right knee, one-legged mountain. Exhale, airplane pose, pressing that right foot back, hugging your shoulder blades together. Your variation here, breathing. And then eventually using an inhale to come back up to one-legged mountain. Right knee is lifting. Exhale, step that right foot forward. Keep breathing as you shift all your weight to the right foot. And drag the left toes up, finding your one-legged mountain pose with the left knee lifting. Take a big breath in. Exhale, straighten that left leg. Inhale, one-legged mountain pose. Last one. Exhale, press that left heel back, finding your airplane pose. Deep breaths as you balance. And then with an inhale, one-legged mountain pose, left knee lifting up. And then exhale, step it down. Give it all a little shake if you want. And then start to head down to the floor. We will come right down to your back. So you might pull your knees in right away as you lower back. And we'll once again find that free movement where we're rocking some massaging pressure around the low back and the sacrum. Oh, I think it feels just so good. It feels very different, I think, than at the end of a class versus the beginning, but I wonder if you noticed that too. I'm telling you, if you have not Googled a picture of the sacrum yet, you really should. It's just such a cool, fascinating bone, I think. All right, let's find a little twist here. We'll keep the knees lifting. We'll do a little active twist. We'll bring those arms out wide. Take a breath in at the center. With your exhale, twisting your knees slightly to the right. We're not going to stay here, so don't go too far. You could turn your head in the opposite direction, so you're looking to the left as your knees are to the right. Finding your breath again. Inhale to come back up to the center, gazing straight up as well. Exhale, lowering your knees toward the left as you gaze slightly to the right. We'll keep going like that. We inhale to the center and exhale, twisting in the opposite direction, knees lowering to the right, gazing to the left. Inhale, coming back up to the center. Exhaling, twist. Go ahead and do about one more on each side. And when you're done, letting your feet find the floor. Maybe letting your knees kind of sway from side to side here with the feet down this time. Can feel kind of nice on the low back. And then if there are any more movements, poses, or stretches or beyond that your body is wanting or needing, now is your time to explore a little bit, wrap up the physical part of this class today. And at some point soon, finding your way to the most comfortable position you can imagine here in this moment. And softening on into your pose of choice. And I recently learned from Indu Aurora, who's a wonderful yoga teacher here in the Twin Cities, Minneapolis, where I am currently, that although this pose, Shavasana, corpse pose, is the physical positioning of your body, you actually pronounce Shavasan, and that's referring then to the state of kind of release and relief. And Shavasana meaning corpse pose, which actually is a little practice for death. And I know that can sound a little morbid or scary to some people, but It's actually kind of relieving to practice this space of releasing attachments, releasing even your senses, just releasing down to your essence. Some people might call that your soul, your spark, your spirit, awareness itself, energy. So just try it on, if you will, taking away as many layers as you can, just sinking deeper into this state of Shavasana. And I am minding the time here, so just keep exploring and discovering Shavasana for yourself. I will call us back in a few minutes. And do a countdown here. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. If you are ready to reawaken, I invite you to do so carefully and gently by wiggling your fingers and toes. If you are in a state of shavasana that is too sweet to leave quite yet, please just stay and savor the moments you have. Otherwise, we're continuing to move in kind ways, maybe reaching for a long body stretch or yawning or swallowing. And then choose a side to roll over into the fetal position on. And just fully rest here in the fetal position for at least one solid round of breath. As if you have nowhere else to be or nothing else to do, just fully in this pose. And eventually using the help of your hands to press your way back up to a comfortable seat. At some point, joining your palms again in front of heart center. Om Bolo Shri Satguru Bhagavan Ki Jai. The greatest teacher of them all lies within. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace. Together, bringing our thumbs up to third eye center and taking a little bow forward in gratitude together now. Peace.